It's funny. We all have those moments, right? Like those things we dread. Picture happening,
Yeah.
tripping up on stage, or accidentally hitting reply all on that snarky email.
Oh, the worst.
But getting fired, I mean, that's got to be right up there, right?
It's up there.
On the list of career nightmares, I think, for most people.
Definitely.
And it's almost like this big scary failure label gets slapped on you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what if we're looking at it all wrong? What
Hmm.
if getting fired, like, stick with me here. What if getting fired could actually be the best thing that ever happened to you?
It's it's fascinating, isn't it, how we're just kind of wired to fear that failure, that rejection.
Right.
But sometimes, like you said, those so-called failures, they can just catapult us into these amazing new beginnings.
Yeah.
It's all about perspective, right?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And to really kind of dive deep into this idea, uh, we're looking at this Reddit thread,
Hmm.
and it has this incredibly optimistic title: "Getting fired was the best thing that ever happened to me."
I love that.
So, to kick things off, we're going to look at this YouTuber, Nicole. Have you seen her video?
I have, yeah.
Why getting fired was the best thing that ever happened to me.
She's great. She goes from like literally crying on her bathroom floor
Oh, wow.
after getting fired to building this thriving business.
Really?
It's quite a journey. I think what struck me most though was just how honest she was about how much self-awareness it took to get there.
Right.
She doesn't sugarcoat the hard parts.
So she talks about how she was a serial job quitter before getting fired, right? So it's not lack of ambition,
No.
but she kept getting promoted even though she wanted like a more laid back role.
Right.
She says in the video, "I ended up getting put into supervisor positions or key holder positions, even though I would always just ask for like the most chill job."
Mm.
So it's almost like she was on autopilot, heading for burnout.
Yeah, and I think that's where that getting fired piece becomes such a turning point. It
Yeah.
forced her to break that cycle, and really confront what wasn't working.
Mm.
It's like she had to get off of autopilot and make some conscious choices.
So this firing wasn't just random, right?
Mhm.
It sounds like this was a seriously toxic workplace.
Oh, for sure.
The owner was, in her words, a tyrant.
Yeah.
And there were these awful public humiliation meetings.
It was a lot.
It sounds intense. I mean, at what point do you know it's time to jump ship, even without another job lined up?
That is the $1,000,000 question, isn't it?
Yeah.
For Nicole, though, there was this huge sense of relief
Oh, really?
when she left,
Wow.
even with all the uncertainty ahead of her.
Hmm.
And it makes me think about the power of trusting your gut.
Yeah.
Sometimes we know deep down when a situation just isn't serving us anymore.
That's true. That's true. And it sounds like she was really good at kind of taking stock of her skills and her finances.
Yeah.
And instead of panicking, she really aimed to just replicate her previous income, which is about $30,000 a year, through self-employment.
And that's smart, right?
Yeah.
Because it gives you this concrete goal
Right.
to work toward, and it helps to kind of manage expectations,
For sure.
especially when you're first venturing out on your own.
So then comes the hustle.
Yes.
I mean, she starts selling on Kijiji, teaching guitar, doing focus groups,
Whoa.
anything to make ends meet while building her business.
And this is a great example. This is something we see a lot on Reddit too.
Right.
This idea of diversifying your income
Right.
can really create this safety net
Mm.
during a career transition.
So within 2 years, she matches her previous income, all while working from home and setting her own hours. No more tyrannical bosses, no more soul-crushing commutes.
Freedom.
Ultimate freedom.
Freedom. And that's just the beginning. Her business takes off. She doubles her income, buys a townhouse.
It's amazing.
I mean, it really shows that sometimes what feels like a setback can actually launch you onto a completely different
Yeah,
and better trajectory.
for sure.
It's incredible how much her life changed, right?
It is.
After getting fired. But it's not just this external success, right? There's this deeper sense of personal growth and fulfillment that really kind of shines through.
Absolutely. She had to confront her own patterns,
Right.
build resilience,
Yeah.
and ultimately define success on her own terms.
Right.
And that journey, that's something worth exploring further, I think.
Yeah.
Both in her story and in what these Redditors are sharing.
Okay, so we've got Nicole's story. That's our starting point.
Yeah.
Let's dive into that Reddit thread next.
And see what other getting fired was the best thing that ever happened to me. Gems we can uncover.
Sounds good.
What does this all mean? Stick with us, because we're about to get into the nitty-gritty of how people turned their career upheaval into something truly positive.
I love it. Okay, so before we get into those specific Reddit examples,
Yeah.
I think it's important to acknowledge that not everyone's getting fired story is gonna be this fairy tale ending.
Right.
But what's really consistent in this thread
Yeah.
is a shift in perspective. It's
Okay.
about reframing that failure label into an opportunity for growth.
I love that it's like taking back your narrative and
Yes.
saying, okay, this happened, but it doesn't define me.
Exactly.
What can I learn from this, and where can I go from here?
Yeah, yeah. And one of the most common themes in the Reddit thread is this feeling of relief
Really?
that people describe after getting fired.
Hmm.
Almost like a weight had been lifted.
Hmm.
It's fascinating, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I think it makes sense when you think about it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people stay in jobs they hate
Right.
out of fear or inertia.
Right.
Right? They're in that comfort zone,
Comfort zone, yeah.
even if it's become pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah, right.
So getting fired, it can be that push they needed
Exactly, yeah.
to finally break free.
Yeah. Like Exciter 706 on Reddit
Okay.
put it, I was on the verge of quitting anyway.
Oh wow.
So they hated their job that much. It was almost a favor.
Wow.
And then the crazy part is they ended up landing a better job
Really?
after being fired, higher pay,
Wow.
more enjoyment.
Huh.
It just completely debunks that myth, right?
Right.
That getting fired is going to ruin your career.
It's a great reminder that sometimes things happen for us, not to us.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't feel like it at the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so this next one is a bit more philosophical, but I found it really intriguing.
Okay.
Mind Matter 3 compares getting fired to going through a divorce.
Oh, wow.
And they even quote Rumi,
oh,
saying it's always darkest before the dawn, and in the darkness you get to see the stars. Deep stuff.
deep. What resonates with me there is that idea of personal growth through adversity.
Yeah.
You know, divorce, like getting fired, it can really shatter your comfort zone
Yeah.
and force you to rebuild.
Right.
And often that rebuilding process, it leads to a stronger, more resilient you.
Yeah.
You're forced to reevaluate your priorities,
Right.
rediscover your strengths,
Yeah.
and ultimately build a life that's more aligned with who you truly are.
You know, hearing these stories,
Yeah.
it makes me wonder if some of us are secretly longing for that push, that shakeup,
Yeah.
that forces us to confront
Confront, yeah.
what we've been avoiding.
What we've been avoiding.
And it doesn't have to be as drastic as getting fired, of course.
Right.
But maybe we all need those moments of reckoning
Yeah. Yeah.
where we ask ourselves, am I truly happy?
That's such a powerful question to ask yourself.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be this crisis-driven thing.
Right.
It can be a regular check-in.
Right.
A way to make sure you're on a path that's both fulfilling and sustainable.
Speaking of sustainable, let's circle back to Nicole
Okay.
and her journey from that initial $1,000 a year to doubling her income and buying a townhouse.
It's amazing.
What were some of the biggest hurdles she had to overcome during that transition?
Well, she talks about struggling with self-doubt,
Yeah,
especially at the beginning.
makes sense.
It's easy to feel lost and overwhelmed.
Right.
When you're first starting out on your own, she had to learn new skills, manage her finances carefully, and constantly push herself outside of her comfort zone.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not like she had this grand vision from the start.
Right.
Right. She really focused on replicating her previous income first,
Yeah.
which is super practical.
It is.
But then she discovers this passion for her work that she hadn't felt before.
That's what's so inspiring about it. It's a
Yeah.
reminder that sometimes the most unexpected paths can lead us to our true calling.
Okay, so we've been talking about how getting fired, while initially devastating, can can sometimes lead to this incredible personal and professional growth.
Yeah.
But how do we apply these lessons, even if we haven't actually been fired?
Right.
How can we create these open door moments without having to go through like a major upheaval?
That's a really good question because the reality is that we all get stuck sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's in a job that's no longer fulfilling, or a relationship that's run its course, or even just a routine that's become, monotonous.
Right.
It's that feeling of just being in a rut, even if it's a relatively comfortable one.
It's like we're on autopilot, going through the motions, but not really living, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
but how do we snap out of it?
Right.
Where do we even begin?
Well, I think Nicole's story offers a good starting point.
Okay.
Remember how she emphasized the importance of self-awareness?
Right.
It's about taking the time to really check in with yourself
Yeah.
and ask some honest questions.
Okay.
Are you happy? Are you fulfilled?
Right.
Are you living in alignment with your values and your passions?
Those are some big questions.
They are.
But I guess it's easy to avoid them when you're so caught up in that day-to-day grind.
Yeah.
It's like we need that push moment.
Right.
Like getting fired to force us to confront those deeper issues.
And that's where the proactive approach comes in.
Okay.
We don't have to wait for a crisis to force us into self-reflection.
Right.
We can create those push moments for ourselves.
How would you do that?
Well, it could be as simple as, scheduling some dedicated time for introspection,
Right.
journaling, or even talking to a trusted friend or mentor.
Sure.
It's about taking ownership of your own happiness and fulfillment,
Yeah.
instead of waiting for external circumstances to kind of dictate your life.
That's huge.
It is.
And it might also involve stepping outside of your comfort zone, right?
Absolutely.
Like the three great Khalid from the Reddit thread
Oh, yeah?
said, I get to learn about me again and be the person I really want to be.
Mm-hmm.
That often involves, trying new things, exploring different paths,
Yeah.
and embracing the unknown.
Right.
So what would that look like, practically speaking?
Yeah.
What are some concrete steps that people can take to create those open door moments for themselves?
Well, it could be as simple as, taking a class, learning a new skill,
Okay.
volunteering in your community.
Right.
It could involve starting a side hustle, exploring a different career path, or even traveling the world.
Mhm.
The key is to identify what lights you up,
Yeah.
and then take action, even if it's just a small step at first.
It's about breaking free from that fear of failure that can hold us back, right?
Yeah.
From pursuing our dreams.
Totally.
Because as we've seen from these stories, sometimes what feels like a failure
Yeah.
can actually be the catalyst for something truly amazing.
Absolutely. And it's about reframing our definition of success.
Okay.
It's not just about climbing the corporate ladder or achieving, financial milestones. It's about finding work that's meaningful and fulfilling, that aligns with your values and your passions.
So for our listeners out there, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Have you ever had an experience, maybe not as drastic as getting fired,
Right.
but where something seemingly negative turned into a positive turning point in your life?
Yeah. Yeah. What did you learn from that?
Yeah.
And how did it shape your path?
And what are some of the things you've been putting off out of fear or uncertainty?
Yeah.
What steps can you take today to create your own open door moment
Right.
and start moving towards a life that truly lights you up?
And remember Nicole's words of wisdom. Sometimes by playing it safe, you might actually just be holding yourself back.
I like that.
Take a chance, embrace the unknown, and see where it leads you.
Yeah,
You might just surprise yourself.
that's great.
Yeah.
And with that, we'll leave you with this final thought. Your life is your own creation.
It is.
Don't wait for permission
Yeah.
or for things to happen to you.
Right.
Take control, embrace the journey, and create a life that's both meaningful and fulfilling.
Love it.